So let me ask you this. In ignoring the red flags, what cost did you pay? In business and in life, everything should be about profiting. You should be gaining, not taking away from your life. Have you ever spent time trying to figure out what was wrong with everybody else instead of sitting back, pausing, and trying to figure out what that situation or what those situations were trying to show you? Well, that's where It's Me, Not You begins. I wrote this book because I had gone through so many situations and dealing with different people and behaviors in different environments and in different times that I noticed one common denominator, and that was me. So It's Me, Not You is about self-accountability, and I journey through the stories of that I've gone through to realize what could I do to show up better, to set boundaries, and then to know when to leave situations. So today I want to talk to you about ignoring the red flags. So I'm going to tell you a story about one of my workplace experiences and how I wanted so badly to work in the sports and entertainment industry that I ignored the red flags, and it ended up being a toxic environment filled with toxic behaviors and things like that. So I'm going to read from my book. If you want to follow along, we're starting with page 53, and I'm just going to kind of gloss over it. So here we go. So I was working for this lady named Connie, and she was very inspirational. I was an intern there with 3 other college students, including my friend Jory, who was from Los Angeles, who became a really good friend of mine. So we often Jory and I talked about how Connie was so inspiring to us as young Black women in the business, because we were both in business school. And Connie was an entrepreneur. She demanded respect and from everyone, and despite their celebrity or economic standard or status, she was well respected. She made things happen, and we were in awe and learning from her. Jory and I had planned to learn all that we could from Connie, make contacts through her network, because we were going to become partners together in a business, and we were going to use Connie's contacts and build a business of our own, but we were going to do it with a little bit more organization and a little bit more class. So we figured that we would leverage our youthfulness and our looks to get clientele and our education and experience to maintain those clients. So I love the job. I was able to do marketing, event planning, and even modeling. I was on photo shoots. I was partying with celebrities. I was living the life that I had dreamt of. Jory and I had become Connie's favorites. So we were getting to help out with a lot more of the events and with more clients. I had even met a model who gave me the lowdown on the entertainment industry. She had been in multiple music videos, and she had partied with top celebrities. She even had children from Hall of Famers, a huge house in an upscale neighborhood. And she shared with us that she had never worked a 9-to-5 job and was doing modeling just to make a name for herself, because all of her bills, all of that was paid. So we were in awe of not having to work the 9-to-5 that we were going to school basically to learn how to do. There was more work for me, and for a moment I thought that Connie's PR firm was the key to my success. Then reality started to settle when one of the interns started talking about she was going to quit because Connie had not paid her. She warned Jory and I that our beloved Connie, who gave me Versace for my birthday, the Connie who invited Jory and I to Thanksgiving at her house because we had no family in the area and we couldn't afford to go back home to celebrate the holiday, the Connie who was giving us extra money to model for clients, the Connie who had given us clout at various bars in the city, that had picked up my tab for my birthday party that I invited all of my friends to, was not who she said that she was. That was unbelievable. We understood our coworkers' disdain and not getting paid. We got that. But we had received our paychecks. So much opportunity as well that we had no desire to quit and to unite with her when we had experienced the Connie that I had just spoken about, and we did not experience the Connie that she had told us about. So as the co-workers' efforts to expose Connie fizzled, things slowly began to unravel. Clients from the firm started calling for Connie on the general line, and she insisted that we tell them that she wasn't there when she was sitting right next in the other room. Next, Connie decided to relocate the office due to mold, which we never saw. It even reached the point where she told us not to answer the door if the landlord tried to talk to us and to be on the lookout, just in case the landlady tried to bombard us when we got out of our car to come into the office. Then on a fateful day, we showed up to the office and it had an eviction notice on the door and it was locked. This was disappointing because without an office means that we had no job. So after numerous calls, Connie finally responded to us and she told us that she had to go out of town, but she would pay us for the work that we had done. Then this dream came crashing down when that paycheck did not cash. When I asked her, I said, there must have been a mix-up at the bank indicating that it was the bank's fault. And she wrote me, and she said, that's okay. And she wrote me another check with an increased amount to cover the NSF fees that the bank had charged me for her check not clearing. This time I went the next day after she wrote the check. I went to her bank, which was 40 minutes away, to cash it to avoid any of the fees. They told me that the check was bad and the account had been closed for some time because it was thousands of dollars in the hole, yet checks kept coming in and they were actually looking for her. I was heated. I remember asking the teller if I could file a complaint against Connie for fraud and that if she would get arrested and if I could get my money back then for my paycheck. Needless to say, I had been conned. In fact, we all had been conned, and we would find out that months later that the FBI was looking for her because her cons had extended over 3 states, which included stolen social security numbers and money, bounced checks, and various forms of other fraudulent activities. And it was disheartening to us because this was the second time that I had been burned in pursuing my dreams. Now, it was clear that this was a toxic environment because it was simply based off deceit. I was so infatuated with the perks and the benefits of working in the sports and entertainment industry, but this job was not legitimate. So how many of us have stayed on a job, remained engaged in a situation, or even worse, stayed in a relationship strictly based on a dream, on a fantasy, or even worse, potential? What did it cost you? And did you get a return on your investment, on the time, on the emotions that you spent in that situation? What did you profit? In business and in life, it should be about profiting. You should be gaining something, not taking away from yourself, not letting situations, people, behaviors take away from your value, from your worth. I want to encourage you to not lose sight on your dreams, but don't negotiate your worth in the process. Your dreams should guide you, not deceive you. If what I said today resonated with you, stay with me. We're going to journey through this together. More of it's me, not you, coming your way. We'll have the conversations. Make sure you comment below. Tell me your situation of when you ignore the red flag, and we'll talk. See you next time.